right, here we go. There we go. Bet. Wait, why does it say it's loaded, bruh? I'm so confused right now. Is my live working? Oh, bet. Okay, there we go. Wait, what is... All right, that's good. Live chat. Okay. All right, make sure this is all good. All right, bet. All right, today we're gonna be reacting to the scariest videos caught on camera. Yeah, it's about to get crazy. So, yeah, let's jump into it. Let me get this set up. Okay. Here we go.
Drop heads! Are they gone, sir? Drop! Are they gone?
24 cases, 7 levels. I've put together some of the most disturbing moments ever caught on CCTV footage. We'll begin with the mildly chilling and with each level descend into the truly horrifying. Let's get into the most disturbing CCTV incidents iceberg, beginning at the tip of the iceberg. Level 1. Jogger pushes woman in front of the street. On the morning of May 5th, 2017, a 33-year-old woman was walking across Putney Bridge in London when something shocking happened. A jogger ran past her and suddenly pushed her into the street. She fell hard right in front of a moving bus. The number 430 bus, traveling at 12 miles per hour, swerved just in time, missing her by only inches. If it had been going any faster, she might not have survived. Strangely, about 15 minutes later, the jogger returned to the same spot. The woman tried to confront him, but he ignored her and kept running. Luckily, the bus's dash cam had recorded the incident, and that footage launched a police investigation.
Okay, but like, what was the point of him pushing her? Like, he just ran by, pushed her, and then came back as if nothing happened. Like, that's just, bro, what? There's literally no reason he should have done. Like, there's no reason for it. He just felt like doing it. I don't know. That's just...
The jogger was described as a white man in his 30s with brown eyes and short brown hair. Police reviewed 50 possible suspects and arrested 3 men, but all were released without charge. After a year of searching with no results, the case was closed in June 2018. The man who nearly took a life has never been identified. Shopping cart launch. On February 16, 2023, 36-year-old Rogerio Santos da Silva was waiting in line at a store when he suddenly stepped out of the queue. He walked over to grab an empty orange cart, calmly lifted it, and began walking back toward the woman who had been standing behind him. Unaware of what was coming, the woman had wheeled her own cart forward to take his place in line. That's when Rogerio raised the empty cart above his head and hurled it directly at her. The metal frame slammed into her head and she collapsed instantly. CCTV footage captured the terrifying moment as nearby shoppers rushed to help.
Bro, what is wrong with people? Like, what? Like, okay, I understand it's frustrating, like, losing your spot in line, but to pick up a cart and hit someone in the head with it, like, that's bad. Like, that's, yo, and these people just, like, get away with this stuff, too. Like, I have never seen people get the proper punishment for what they do. Like, I don't know, bro. Y'all be careful out there.
Remained unconscious for a while before being placed in a wheelchair and taken to the hospital. Rogerio was arrested on the spot and charged with minor bodily harm before being released. The 45-year-old victim suffered no serious injuries and later said she had done nothing to provoke the attack. Oriole Gray. On October 20th, 2020, around 2:20 p.m., 77-year-old Celia Ward was riding her bicycle on a shared-use pavement alongside a 30-mile-per-hour ring road in Huntingdon, Cambridgeshire. At the same time, 46-year-old Oriel Gray was walking toward her on the same path. As they passed each other, Oriel shouted, "Get off the pavement," and gestured with her left arm. Startled, Celia veered off the path, straight into the road, and into the path of an oncoming car. The collision was immediate. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Oriel, who has cerebral palsy and partial blindness, left without checking on the victim and continued her journey to collect a prescription. She was later arrested and charged with unlawful manslaughter. On March 2nd, 2023, she was sentenced to 3 years in prison. But in 2020...
Okay, like, this one is like... This one's iffy because obviously she is the reason this lady died, so she should get a harsher punishment. But it's like over something so stupid. Like, if she just minded her business, none of this would have happened. And everything would have been, you know what I'm saying? She would have been riding her bike, would have went on with her life. But this lady wanted to just be one of those people. And that ended up being the cause of this lady's life being taken. So, for what? Like, this is... People just lose their life over the stupidest things sometimes. And it's just like... It could be prevented so easily. Like, just mind your business. Like, it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's just bad.
Before her lawyer flipped the script, they successfully argued that shouting and gesturing alone couldn't be considered assault. The conviction was overturned. Gray was released, and no retrial was scheduled. Celia Ward's death, however, remained final. The Raricks. In February 2021, Christina Raricks pulled into her garage, unaware that someone was waiting to ambush her. As she parked, a man emerged from the side of the house and slipped into the garage just before the door closed behind her. In the early hours of the following morning, Halton firefighters responded to a fire at the Rarick residence. Once the flames were extinguished, they discovered the bodies of 56-year-old Christina and her husband, Andrzej Rarick, inside the garage. During the investigation, authorities found the CCTV footage recorded on a neighbor's property across the street. The intruder was 30-year-old Harrison Brown, who had a business relationship with Christina. Investigators determined that once the garage door closed, Brown attacked Christina, fatally stabbing her. He then stabbed Andrzej multiple times. Brown remained on the property until at least 9 p.m. and returned at dawn to deliberately set the house on fire. On March 6, 2021, Harrison Brown was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first degree and 1 count of arson. On December 1, 2023, he was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Hey, Abyssal fans, quick up.
It's really, like, disturbing to think that there's people out there that will really just throw away the rest of their life over anything. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there is no way you can come to a conclusion in your mind that anything is worth losing the rest of your life, unless you're just, like, very out of it and, like, crazy, obviously. But, like, this is just, like, what is wrong with people? Like, it's just story after story of insanity. Like, I don't know.
Update before we proceed. From now on, our icebergs will be 8 levels instead of 7. However, YouTube would take our channel down if we posted content this disturbing here, so we'll be posting it while supporting. Level 3, Freezer Death. On September 8th, 2017, 19-year-old Kenika Jenkins borrowed her mother's car to attend a party with friends. She never made it home. Around 11:30 p.m., Kenika and 3 friends arrived at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Chicago. The party was on the 9th floor in room 926. The room was packed with nearly 40 people in a space meant for 2, but it didn't stop the girls from having fun. Just 15 minutes after arriving, Kenika called her older sister. That would be the last time her family ever heard from her. Over the next couple of hours, she drank cognac heavily while posting videos and going live on Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. By 3:15 a.m., the girls were ready to leave, but Kenika was too drunk to walk on her own. Staggering, barely able to stand, she realized she'd forgotten her phone and car keys upstairs, so her friends left her alone by the elevator to retrieve them. By the time they returned, she was gone. Panic set in. Her friends called Kenneka's mother, Teresa Martin, who rushed to the hotel by 5 a.m., but the hotel staff refused to help without a police report. So she called 911. And that report wasn't filed until 1:15 p.m., hours after Kenneka had vanished. Police combed through endless hours of CCTV footage. Eventually, they spotted her alone stumbling through the hotel hallways, but they didn't see her going somewhere else or exiting the building. Eventually, on September 10th, they spotted her alone walking into an unused kitchen area on the lower level. Immediately, the hotel staff was instructed to check the kitchen, but nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to see. Kenneka was found face down inside a walk-in freezer, one shoe off, frozen to death. There were no signs of trauma or violence, so the authorities ruled the death as accidental hypothermia, worsened by alcohol intoxication and prescription medication of a drug called topiramate. But her mother and the public were not convinced. She was not on prescription for that drug, and the CCTV footage didn't show her walking into the freezer. Teresa Martin filed a $50 million lawsuit accusing the hotel of negligence. In December 2023, they settled for $10 million. The case was officially closed.
Wait, so this doesn't add up. If they had footage of her walking into the freezer, then, I would understand it. But if she never went into the freezer, then how'd she get in there? And, it's such a tricky subject because, obviously she was not in the right state of mind while she's walking around this place. But there's just certain things that don't really add up to what the story is saying. So I feel like with all the cameras, there should be more of a story lined up. But I don't know. But this is just tragic. That's why you just got to be careful, especially if you're drinking, out doing whatever. You just got to be safe.
Although many questions are still left unanswered. Mackenzie Shirilla. At first glance, the surveillance footage looks ordinary, just a car turning smoothly into Progress Drive in a quiet business park. But what happened next was anything but normal. Inside the 2018 Toyota Camry was 17-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla, her boyfriend Dominic Russo, and his friend Davian Flanagan. Weeks before this, Mackenzie had gotten into an altercation with Dominic and threatened to crash the car. She was upset over a disagreement and refused to calm down, so Dominic called his mother and asked to be picked up. Their relationship was described as toxic, and during every disagreement, Mackenzie degraded her boyfriend, calling him names, threatening him, and sometimes damaging his property. So, on July 31st, 2022, after she drove on Progress Drive onto Alameda Drive, she lost it. She drove the car at 100 miles per hour, accelerating and jerking the wheel left to right before finally crashing into a brick building. The result was fatal. Dominic Russo died at the scene. Davian Flanagan was rushed to the hospital but later died from his injuries. Mackenzie was found unconscious behind the wheel, but she survived with minor injuries. In August 2023, Mackenzie Shirilla was convicted on 12 counts, including aggravated vehicular homicide, assault, and substance possession. She was sentenced to life in prison with eligibility for parole after 15 years.
See, now this W judge, because some people out here, you guys need to be careful who you're around, who you surround yourself with, because there are some crazy people out there that do not care about you or themselves. And I feel like just being around someone that lacks self-love is scary enough, because if they don't even care about their own safety, they're not caring about yours. So it's yeah, it's just never good. But y'all just need to be careful who you're around, because some people do not have your best interest. And here's a very good example of that, because, she survives the crash and he doesn't. So, he loses his life. And I mean, it is good that she got life in prison, because she should not be free. I don't care what your opinion. Well, I care what your opinion is, but in this circumstance, it's no.
What appeared to be an accident was ruled deliberate and deadly. Courtney Lake. On the evening of June 7, 2017, 24-year-old Courtney Lake left her home on Wellington Crescent in Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. At 7:54 p.m., she was seen entering a black GMC pickup truck driven by her ex-boyfriend, Philip Smith. He had recently been released from prison after serving time for multiple crimes committed against her. That was the last time she was seen alive. At the time of her disappearance, Courtney was dealing with tensions from two former partners. Philip Smith, her most recent ex, had been violent toward her in April 2017. Her mother reported the attack, which ended the relationship. Another ex, the father of her son Oliver, was also trying to rekindle their past relationship. In May, Smith escalated his behavior by sending intimate images of Courtney to her new boyfriend without her consent. She reported him again and was granted a peace bond barring contact with Philip. But on June 5th, Smith attempted to contact her 33 times. When she didn't answer, he drove to her house. She called the police, but he left before they arrived. He was arrested later and spent 2 days in jail. After his release, he picked Courtney up, and she never came back. When interrogated, Smith later admitted to being with her that night, but denied involvement in her disappearance. With no body, no charges were filed. Months later, he was found dead near Bellevue Beach. The case remains open, and Courtney's family are left searching for answers and remains.
Don't be this person in a relationship. If somebody does not want to be with you, they don't want to be with you. You don't need to push the limits, you know what I mean? And that does not, like, I know that's how a lot of people are because, you know, people are just toxic nowadays, but, you know, it's good to have a little bit of chase, I guess, like, to show someone you care, but not that, like, don't do this. This is just insanity. But, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with people. Some people don't take the hint. She did not want to be with him. But he went to the length of saying, if I can't have her, nobody can. And, you know, that's just dangerous. But, yeah.
Level 4. Tesla crash. On the morning of November 5th, 2022, Zan, the owner of a Tesla Model Y, was on his way to his cement store in Chaozhou, China. But what began as a routine drive quickly turned into a nightmare. The problem started when Zan couldn't park the car. The vehicle suddenly swerved and began accelerating uncontrollably, reaching high speeds over a stretch of 2.6 kilometers. At first, a motorcycle passed by and the Tesla swerved to avoid it, but just over a kilometer in, it struck another motorcycle heading in the same direction. The rider died at the scene, yet the impact wasn't enough to stop the car. The Tesla kept going. Moments later, it collided with a bicycle coming from the opposite direction, but the rider survived with minor injuries. Then, it hit a cargo tricycle, causing the car to veer sharply to the right. From there, it slammed into a dumpster truck, struck a high school girl riding her bicycle, and crashed into a van before finally coming to a stop. 3 people, including Zan, were seriously injured. The teenage girl did not survive. After the crash, Zan insisted he hadn't been distracted or intoxicated. He claimed he repeatedly tried to hit the brakes, but the vehicle wouldn't respond. However, Tesla had a different story to tell. Tesla's forensic analysis showed that the accelerator pedal was at 100% engagement in the seconds before the crash. No braking input was detected at any point. In March 2023, a court-appointed forensic agency concluded the cause of the crash was driver error, not mechanical failure. Tesla was cleared of liability. Zan now bears full responsibility for a tragedy that claimed 2 lives.
Okay, in this circumstance, if he genuinely was telling the truth and they just kind of brushed it over so that they don't look bad, I kind of feel bad because, you know, he, one, took people's lives and now he has to lose his own. But some people would lie, you know what I mean? I don't know why he would floor the Tesla and just start causing havoc throughout the city. But, like, that does seem really weird. It's, like, I don't know. But, Yeah, this is just a really interesting situation. 'Cause I feel like if the Tesla was faulty, they wouldn't even really be able to tell because obviously it's faulty. You're not gonna, I don't know. But yeah, this is just really bad.
Rianne Colson's disappearance. On May 21st, 2025, CCTV captured 34-year-old Rianne Colson leaving St. Mary and Benedict Church in Coventry. She wore a black hoodie and ripped black jeans. She had just visited a food bank. Nothing seemed unusual except that it was the last time she was seen alive. Rianne, a mother of one, was working as a sex worker in the area at the time. Her absence went unnoticed until June 17th, when she failed to reach out to her twin sister Kristen on their birthday. That silence was out of character, so her family reported her missing. The West Midlands Police launched a large-scale investigation, assigning over 100 officers to the case. Her family made public appeals, hoping she would be found alive. Investigators combed through hours of CCTV footage, phone records, and gathered more than 50 witness statements. But with each passing day, hopes of a safe return faded. On June 24th, police arrested 42-year-old Mohammed Durnian on suspicion. Shortly after, Adam Moore was charged with assisting an offender. 3 days later, on June 27th, a body was found in Binley Woods near Coventry. She was later identified as Rianne Colson. The investigation into her death is ongoing. For now, her family is left with heartbreak, unanswered questions, and the devastating reality that Rianne never made it home. Harshandeep Singh. On December 6, 2024, 20-year-old Harshandeep Singh was on patrol during his shift as a security guard when the unthinkable happened. Harshandeep was an international student from Haryana, India, studying at Norquest College in Edmonton, Canada. He had been in the country for 18 months, and it was only his third day on the job. While checking the stairwell of the apartment complex, he encountered two individuals, 30-year-old Evan Rain and Judith Salto. Harshandeep was shoved down the stairs, and before he could run, he was shot from behind. Police responded to reports of gunfire at the building. When they arrived, Harshandeep was found unresponsive. He was taken to the hospital where he was later pronounced.
What did he do? I mean, I'm gonna let it play out, but like, what did he do? Like, this, nah, that's just messed up. That's
dead. Evan Rain and Judith Salto have both been arrested and charged with first degree. Lorraine Cox. On September 30th, 2020, the family of 32-year-old Lorraine Cox reported her missing. Though messages were still being sent from her social media accounts, her family believed something was wrong. The tone felt off, with strange spelling errors and excuses for avoiding phone or video calls. They were convinced someone else was pretending to be her. That concern sparked a police investigation which involved reviewing hours of CCTV footage. In one clip, police found the clue that would unravel everything. 2 days earlier, Lorraine had been walking home alone after a night out with friends in Exeter. It was a route she knew well, and she walked calmly, hands in her pockets, but she was not alone. A man slowly trailed her before approaching and persuading her to go with him to his flat above a kebab shop. CCTV later showed him leaving the building multiple times to dump items in bins across the city. But Lorraine, however, was never seen leaving. The man was identified as Azam Mangori, a 24-year-old Iraqi Kurd who had previously been denied asylum and was facing deportation. Inside his flat, he suffocated Lorraine with her own t-shirt and left her body there for 8 days. During that time, Mangori used her SIM card to impersonate her on social media and messaging apps, trying to convince family and friends she was alive. But when they reported her missing, he panicked. He dismembered her body and scattered her remains across Exeter. Parts of her body were found in alleys next to his flats and about 9 kilometers away in woodlands. On April 7th, 2021, Azam Mangori was found guilty of Lorraine's death. He was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 20 years.
Okay, well, good he got life in prison because someone like this does not need to be walking around on the street, clearly. But like, what kind of plan was this? Like, I don't get what his end goal was. Like, this plan was not sustainable to keep him there for a lifetime. Like, I don't know. This is just, but y'all just need to be careful who you meet because you never know who they could be, what they could be up to. Clearly, he seemed like a good guy, and look what happened. So, I don't know. I think we just need to learn from situations like this. I mean, it's kind of hard because obviously, you know, in life you're gonna want to meet people, make friends, all this and that. But unfortunately, some people are not right. So yeah, y'all just be safe out there.
Level 5. Lee Pomeroy. On January 4th, 2019, around 1 p.m., Lee Pomeroy boarded the train at London Road Station in Guildford with his 14-year-old son. Shortly after, 36-year-old Daryl Penseal entered the train at the next stop, and what should have been a routine ride home took a fatal turn. Soon after boarding, Darren got into an argument with Lee over a blocked aisle. The exchange lasted only a few seconds before Darren walked away to another carriage. But Lee wouldn't let it go. He followed him, leaving his son behind. In the next carriage, the confrontation resumed. The men continued arguing and pointing at each other. Then, in just 25 seconds, Darren pulled out a knife and stabbed Lee 18 times. Darren fled the train at the next stop where his girlfriend picked him up. Meanwhile, Lee's son remained alone in the carriage as paramedics arrived at Horsley Station. Lee was pronounced dead at the scene. Darren Penseal was arrested the following day at his girlfriend's home. On July 12, 2019, he was convicted of the crime and sentenced to life in prison. Fell onto the tracks. On June 3, 2025, CCTV footage at the Pusat Bandar Puchong LRT station, Selangor, captured a heartbreaking moment of unawareness. A 36-year-old Taiwanese man who was walking alone on the platform edge accidentally fell onto the train tracks. As soon as his body hit the ground, he looked up to see an oncoming train, but it was too late to run back. The train struck him before stopping a few seconds later. Onlookers stood on the platform edge, horrified and waiting for emergency responders to get his body out from under the train. He was pronounced dead at the scene by the fire and rescue team. Although the CCTV footage answered all questions, police are carrying out investigations and have ruled out foul play. To avoid any repetition of such incidents, the transport ministers have instructed Prasarana Malaysia Berhad, Rapid Rail's owner, to install platform screen doors at all LRT stations. Paulius Petrasinas. On July 13th, 2020, Paulius Petrasinas was captured on several CCTV cameras laughing and playing with the man who would later take his life. In the hours leading up to his death, 24-year-old Paulius was seen with 20-year-old Sean Buell. The two appeared to be in great spirits, laughing, joking, and chatting casually in the corridor of a building before heading to a nearby convenience store. But everything changed when they returned to a block of flats in Cherville Rise, Heathtown. Inside was the apartment of Paulius's girlfriend, where an argument broke out between the two men over a deal. In the heat of the moment, Sean pulled out a hunting knife and stabbed Paulius. The wound was catastrophic. The knife pierced his diaphragm, liver, and the protective sac around his heart. One of his coronary arteries was completely severed. Paulius was pronounced dead at the scene. Meanwhile, Sean had fled the building, leaving his friend to die. Despite the brutal nature of the attack, Sean walked the streets surprisingly calm and collected. He disposed of the knife, called a taxi, and made his way to Shrewsbury. He was arrested there 2 days later. Although the perpetrator has been caught, the knife is still missing. For months, authorities combed through hours of CCTV footage, during which time Sean kept changing his story. At one point, he claimed an epileptic fit caused him to black out. Later, he said he and Paulius had been sparring with knives and that he couldn't remember anything afterwards. Eventually, the weapon was found, hidden in a pile of dirt wedged between a fence and a wall. On January 13th, 2022, Sean Buell was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 20 years.
What's almost as terrifying as this crime was the fact that he was able to commit this crime and walk around calm as if nothing happened. Like, that's even more disturbing. I feel like any person with a normal conscience would feel insane guilt for doing something like this, because this is like one of the worst things you could possibly do. And he just calmly left as if nothing happened and still tried to defend himself. Like, there was no guilt, no remorse, nothing. Like, I'm glad, you know, he got justice, because, bro, people like this cannot be walking around. That's just, that's not good.
Cristina Ortiza Lozano. On September 21st, 2019.
Also, thank you to everyone watching the stream. This is my first live stream, so I appreciate everyone watching. And yeah, my bad. Should I say that?
Around 9:50 p.m., CCTV captured Cristina Ortiza Lozano walking with a man on a date. First, they went to Sprinkles Ice Cream Parlor, then the Giddy Bridge Pub on London Road. Unbeknownst to them, Christina's ex-boyfriend was secretly following. In April 2018, Cristina moved to the UK from Spain with her longtime boyfriend Abdelaziz El Yachioy Orzut. The couple met in school, dated for 12 years, and lived together in Liverpool before relocating to Southampton. But in August 2019, Cristina ended the relationship. While she had moved on, Abdelaziz had not. That night, he was lurking in the shadows, watching, following, and waiting. As Cristina and her date walked toward her flat on Spear Road, CCTV caught Abdelaziz trailing behind. Outside her apartment, he stood holding flowers. When Cristina arrived, he followed her inside while her date waited outside. Once inside, he grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed her 23 times in the neck, chest, and abdomen. Cristina was pronounced dead at the scene. Police found Abdelaziz in the garden, bleeding from stab wounds to his chest and other minor injuries. He was treated and later charged in court. On March 17, 2020, Abdelaziz El Yachioy Orzat was found guilty of the crime and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 19 years. Twin criminals. On January 13, 2010, 16-year-old twin sisters Yasmia and Tasmia Whitehead returned home from school to find their mother dead in a pool of her own blood. One of the twins ran outside and flagged down a deputy patrolling the streets. This triggered a series of investigations, but nothing prepared the police or the public for what they would uncover. At first, the police treated the girls as victims who had just lost their mother in a brutal attack. The 34-year-old woman was lying in her bathtub at her home in Georgia. She was bleeding from the head, had bite marks, cuts, and scratches all over her body. But as the questioning began, something didn't sit right. The twins claimed their mother, Nikki Whitehead, had locked her bedroom door, so they didn't see her before leaving for school. They added that they left home around 8 a.m. and were only 10 minutes late for their first class. During the interrogation, the girls cried and insisted they wanted their mother back, but soon, things grew suspicious. Detectives noticed they were covered completely and even had gloves on their hands. So they decided to split them and interrogate them separately. When detectives asked them to remove the gloves they were wearing, they found fresh cuts and bite marks on both girls. The twins claimed the injuries came from an earlier fight with each other. One of them even said she bit herself when she was stressed. To convince the officers, she started to bite herself after she was separated from her sister. Despite the inconsistencies, police allowed them to go home while they carried out a deeper investigation over the next 4 months, gathering forensic evidence, bite mark impressions, and blood samples. The girls claimed they arrived at school by 8:15 a.m., but CCTV footage showed them entering school after 10 a.m. Earlier footage also showed them at a gas station at 10:10 a.m., either refueling or buying something. Their alibi was clearly false. In May 2010, Yasmia and Tasmia were arrested and charged with their mother's death. They were held in a juvenile facility until their case was moved to adult court. For nearly 4 years, the sisters denied any role in their mother's death, even as police uncovered more forensic proof and caught more lies when questioning them separately. But then, one of them cracked.
I feel with blood, and I hit with blood.
In January 2014, Tasmia Whitehead pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter, falsification, and possession of a knife during a crime. She revealed that a fight had broken out between them and their mother that morning. In a fit of rage, they hit her with a ceramic pot, bit her, and stabbed her several times. After she died, they dragged her body to the master bathroom and tried to clean up the mess. When they realized it was too much, they made up a story and went to school as if nothing had happened. In February 2014, Yasmia also pleaded guilty to the same charges. Both girls were sentenced to 30 years in prison and are currently held in separate facilities under the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Bringing children into this world just for them to take you out and then lie about it. That's so disturbing. That's actually so, and they hid it all this time and got away with this for so long. That's just, I don't know how situations like this even happen. I can understand disagreements, arguments, but taking out your own mother, I don't even know how that comes to mind. And especially at their age, this was a long time ago, and they felt comfortable doing this. I don't know what's going on. This is just, nah.
Grace Millane. On December 1st, 2018, Grace Millane met with her Tinder match outside the Sky City complex in Auckland, New Zealand. It was under a Christmas tree, and she took a picture of herself to send to her family. That was the last they would hear of her. Her date with 26-year-old Jesse Kempson kicked off in good spirits. They started at Andy's Burger Bar at Sky City, where they ordered multiple drinks and chatted for about 90 minutes. From there, they walked over a few blocks to the Mexican Cafe on Victoria Street, where they ordered more drinks and stayed for another hour. Throughout the date, Grace was smiling, talking, and interacting with Jesse comfortably. By 8:30 p.m., they moved to another bar across the City Life Hotel, where they continued drinking, kissing, and socializing. Later at 9:40 p.m., CCTV in the hotel lobby captured them walking arm in arm and smiling before using the elevator that leads to Jesse's room. This was the last confirmed sighting of Grace alive. By the time Jesse Kempson was captured again on camera, he was alone and making unusual purchases. The morning of December 2nd, 2018, Grace's 22nd birthday, she was already shoved into a suitcase. Between 8 and 8:40 a.m., CCTV captured Jesse at the warehouse buying a large suitcase. Then he visited a Countdown supermarket where he purchased cleaning supplies before returning to his room. Later, he left his room to rent a red rental car and returned to City Life Hotel. That afternoon, while Grace's body was still in his room, he went on another Tinder date with another woman. Later that evening, between 7 and 9 p.m., he bought more carpet cleaners and hired a rug doctor machine, then returned it after use. At 9:26 p.m., Jesse wheeled 2 suitcases to the rental car parked at Wilson Car Park. One of them held Grace Millane's body. On the morning of December 3rd, he drove into the ITM hardware store in Kumau, where he purchased a shovel and bolts. Then, he buried Grace in a shallow grave along Scenic Drive. To remove forensic evidence and bloodstains, he took his clothes to the dry cleaners. After that, he proceeded to a self-service vehicle wash to wash off any underlying bloodstains on the vehicle. Meanwhile, Grace's family, who were far away in the United Kingdom, grew increasingly.
This dude was just committing this crime like it was a side hustle. He was just out here doing this, no cares in the world. He's just walking in plain sight. Does he not think that, maybe it's suspicious that every person I hang out with goes missing. I'm caught at the store buying a shovel, buying cleaning supplies. Oh my gosh, this is just, I don't even know what is wrong with people, bro.
Worried when she didn't contact them on her birthday. On December 7th, they reported her missing, and a police investigation began immediately. After reviewing hours of CCTV footage, Jesse was identified and arrested on December 8, 2018 at the City Life Hotel. At first, he denied having anything to do with her disappearance, but when evidence was piling up against him, he confessed to taking her life. According to him, her death was the result of a consensual rough sex that went wrong, but the jury didn't believe him. Eventually, he was charged with the death of Grace Mullane and sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 17 years. Level 6. Odessa Carey Jr. This is CCTV footage of 36-year-old Odessa Carey Jr. walking with a blue bag slung over her shoulder and a white plastic bag in her hand. Inside the blue bag was the decapitated head of her 73-year-old mother, also named Odessa Carey.
What is wrong with these people? Why is this so common? Like, what? I don't know, bro. Some people just need help. This is getting really bad. Like, why? Like, the fact that we're watching a compilation of this just being normal is just, I don't know what's going on.
On April 2019, a day before this footage was captured, Odessa Jr. smashed her mother's head with a mallet, taking her life instantly. She then proceeded to decapitate her using knives and scissors. Afterwards, she carried the severed head to the bathroom and removed her mother's brain before placing the head inside.
What? She did, bro. All right, this is just beyond sick. Like, that's bad. That's really bad. She did what? She took her brain out? Ew. Bro.
The blue bag. Then she calmly placed the bag on her shoulders and went out to visit a family friend named John Marie, as if nothing had happened. At John's house, with blood still in her hands, Odessa used baby wipes to clean herself before showing him what was inside the blue bag. Disturbingly, she pulled out her mother's head and kissed it in front of him. At the time,
what, bro? No, it just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. What is wrong with this lady? What is, bruh? This is literally like Jeffrey Diddy. Like, this is like Jeffrey Dahmer and Diddy in girl form. Like, this is bad. Like, oh my god, bro. It just keeps getting worse. Like, I don't even know.
John didn't own a phone, so he waited until the next day before contacting the police. When the authorities finally reached her, they found the decapitated head hidden in a cupboard under the sink at a home and guidepost where she was staying. Odessa sat there, looking blankly as officers read her rights. Earlier that year, despite clear signs of violence and warnings from family members, Odessa Carey Jr. was discharged from a mental health ward after being assessed as a low-risk case. She had a history of attacking her mother and harming pets. Eventually, she was charged with her mother's death, but due to her severe mental illness, she was sentenced to a secure...
You're right. People are nuts. Like, what? As this story continued, it just got more disturbing. Like, okay, it's bad enough to take your mother's life, but to carry her head like a decoration and to take her brain, like, oh my gosh, bro. Like, this is just, some people just need to be put in a box and just locked away forever, and just because, like, what? Like, and that's the thing. This lady was walking free among us. Like, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So if this is a common thing, there's more people like her. So I'm good. I'm staying inside. I'm good.
A hospital instead of a prison. Meta Price. On October 29, 2014, family and friends of 44-year-old Meta Price Valentine reported her missing. In the days leading up to her disappearance, she had been acting strangely. When she called her mother the day before, she spoke in riddles and sounded confused. Earlier that evening, around 5:30 p.m., CCTV captured her walking toward her apartment complex in Sycamore Park off Old Wilmington Road after attending a neighborhood watch meeting. Just as she entered the building, a man ran in after her. And that was the last time she was ever seen. She didn't show up for Bible study that night and stopped responding to calls. Police quickly identified the man who ran after her as Reginald McDowell, an ex-partner with a history of violence toward her. Back in 1999, while Meta was seeing another man, Reginald kidnapped, robbed, and shot at the couple. He was charged and sentenced to 15 years in prison, but only served 10. After his release in 2011, he resumed his relationship with Meta until they broke up again in October 2014, just 2 weeks before she disappeared. Initially, Reginald cooperated with the investigators, but later on, he cut off all communication. On March 30th, 2018, Reginald McDowell was formally charged with first-degree and kidnapping in connection with Meta's disappearance. He is still on the run.
Bro, this is not true love. Like, I don't know what people are on. This is not true love. If a girl does not want you, that doesn't mean you go kidnap her and her boyfriend and then take her. Like, that's... What do you think that's going to do for you? Like, I don't know. This is... It just keeps getting worse. It doesn't end.
Meta Valentine has never been found dead or alive. Ronan Kanda. On June 29th, 2019, 16-year-old Ronan Kanda was walking home after visiting a friend to buy a PlayStation controller. It was around 8 p.m. and Ronan had his headphones in, smiling at his phone as he strolled through Wolverhampton, completely unaware of the danger behind him. Earlier that day, 17-year-old Prabjit Vidhesa had picked up a ninja sword set and a large machete from a...
Where are they selling ninja sword? Bro, where did you... What? Where? Yo, actually, this reminds me of a story. One time... My bad for talking too much. One time, I literally was about to walk outside to go get the mail. And tell me why I seen someone walking down the street, bro, like a tank top and shorts, and bro just had a giant sword, like a sword. I walked back inside. I was not doing that, but I don't know where these people are getting swords. I don't know, bro.
Local post office. He had ordered them online under a fake name, and he was out to collect a debt. Alongside his friend Sukhman Sergil, also 17, Prabjit watched Ronan leave his friend's house and mistook him for the person who owed him money. As Ronan walked home, unaware, the two followed him, weapons in hand. Just yards away from his home, Prabjit stabbed Ronan twice with the sword, one cut deep in his hip and the other penetrating into his heart. He collapsed and died at the scene. Then they realized they harmed the wrong person. In a frenzy, they fled, disposed of their weapons and clothes, and tried to cover their tracks, but it didn't last. Within days, both were arrested and charged with Ronan's death.
What do they mean to reclaim their debt? They're not in a movie. If you want to go get the money from him, at least, just rob him. You don't gotta attack him with a sword. Like, oh my gosh. Like, people have lost the plot. Like, back in the day, back in the day, I'm not even that old. But, you know, back in the day, people would just fight it out. You know what I'm saying? But, bro, grabbing a sword? Like, what is that going to do for you? That doesn't get your money back. And what does that do?
July 13th, 2023, Prabjit Vidhesa and Sukhman Sergil were sentenced to life imprisonment with minimum terms of 18 and 16 years, respectively. After Ronan's death, lawmakers and his grieving family pushed for tighter controls on online knife sales. His case added urgency to
Online knife sales? That was a sword. Like, you shouldn't be able to just... I mean, there's a fine line between that because people like to collect stuff. But then again, like, a sword is crazy. Yeah, nah, bro. These people are really, like... I thought this was going to be some, like, crazy stuff, but this even blew my expectations. You know, I've seen a lot of videos like this, so I'm a little desensitized, but this is still blowing me away. Pause.
national efforts to restrict access to dangerous weapons and prevent further tragedies like his. Level 7. Louise Smith. On May 8th, 2020, 16-year-old Louise Smith was reported missing after she failed to return home from school. Just a month earlier, she had moved in with her older cousin, Shaslyn Jane Mays, and her husband, Shane Mays. They all lived together in Lay Park, Havant, in Hampshire. Once Louise was declared missing, investigators combed through hours of CCTV footage to trace her movements and uncover the reason for her disappearance. On May 8, 2020, at noon, CCTV captured Louise leaving the home with her uncle Shane. They both walked into the Harvant thicket around 11:45 a.m. That same day, Shane appeared on camera later that afternoon. He was alone, buying a pizza and a Lucozade at a local store. Later, he returned home alone as well. Louise was nowhere in sight. 13 days later, Louise's body was discovered in a clearing in Havant Thicket, about a 40-minute walk from her home. Her body had been severely burned and violated. It was so badly damaged that investigators had to rely on dental records to confirm her identity. Shane Ray was arrested almost immediately, but he denied being involved in her death. He maintained that although he walked with her...
My bad for interrupting. There's a white cat walking outside my window. Okay, my bad.
In the early hours of May 8th, he stopped partway to the shops and returned home. However, when CCTV footage, phone data, and forensic evidence began disproving his account, he eventually admitted he was with her longer than he originally claimed. In late 2020, he admitted to luring her to Harvant Thicket, but still denied the crime. Instead, he pleaded guilty to manslaughter, claiming he lost control and didn't mean to take her life. The court rejected his version of the story, and he was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 25 years. Sword attack. On April 30th,
Bro, they need to get rid of swords. I have seen very little sword attacks, but today's the most. Why is this becoming so normal? Oh my gosh, bro. Like sword after sword after sword after sword. Just take them away.
2024, just before 7 a.m., 36-year-old Marcus Arduini Monzo drove a gray van into a pedestrian on a quiet residential street in Hainault, East London. Moments later, he stepped out of the vehicle wearing a yellow hoodie and wielding a samurai 20-minute rampage. Marcus ran through the streets, chasing and slashing at random people. He then...
Bro, what? So you run over an innocent person, and then you just start coming at people with a sword? Like, all right, this is like victim of the finest. Like, what happened? Like, why? Like, this is the problem with a lot of these situations. Why? Like, just what is the what is the point? If it's something like, all right, if your girl cheats on you, if someone's trying to hurt you, someone robs you, like self-defense, okay, I can understand why someone would go to those lengths, but all he did was just hit a random person and then start trying to attack people.
Broke into a nearby home, attacking a couple while their 4-year-old child slept upstairs. At around 7:15 a.m., as 14-year-old Daniel Anjorin walked to school in his PE kit and headphones, Monzo ambushed him from behind, slashing his chest and neck. The injuries were too severe. Daniel died on the street. By this time, police had arrived and were trying to de-escalate the situation, but Monzo refused to stop. He continued to run wild, swinging his weapon and eventually stabbing multiple officers.
Are they having a bro? Is this cop having a sword fight with him? This has got to be a joke. This has to be a joke. This dude just slimed out like 5 people, and they're trying to Yo, this is not funny, but like this is just ridiculous. Like I don't even, bro. I can't be the only one thinking. I cannot be the only one thinking this. Let me know in the chat if I'm tripping. This is, oh my gosh.
PC Yasmin Mesham-Whitfield and Inspector Malloy Campbell, who tried to intervene, sustained serious injuries in the attack. In a panic, officers shouted, "Lock your doors," as Monzo roamed the neighborhood. He was finally subdued around 7:22 a.m. after officers used a taser and tackled him to the ground. On June 25th, 2025, Marcus Arduini Monzo was found guilty and was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term.
See, they go way too easy on some of these people. Like, there's people that got shot for grabbing just their wallet. This dude was out here terrorizing the neighborhood, and they used a taser. I don't know. This is just crazy.
Of 40 years. Pre-teen crimes. On May 29th, 2024, 63-year-old Scott Habermale was psyched.
Wait, they don't? I did not. Cops don't have guns in England? What? That's actually. What? Bro, yo, that's bad. What? I did not know that. So you're telling me if some dude is walking around with a sword, you just have to battle him? Oh my gosh, I didn't even. Yo. I'm at a lot. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. I did not know that.
To work at Sandia National Laboratories in Albuquerque when a car suddenly swerved into the bike lane and struck him. By the time the authorities arrived, he was dead at the scene with no leads and no traces. Initially, police received CCTV footage from a nearby church showing the vehicle, but not the occupants. For many months, no arrests were made because there were no immediate leads, identifiable suspects, vehicle registration, or footage linking anyone to the crime. Until 2025, when their attention was called to a viral video online.
Hurry up before that even starts.
They gonna hit him hella fast, nigga. Just bump him, bruh.
Like, you like bumped him?
Yeah, just bump him. Go like 15, 20.
In the video, two boys can be heard laughing and plotting the hit. One even said, "Just bump him, brah," just before the car hit Scott. The school principal identified the voices in the video, and multiple witnesses identified them by their voices in the video.
No, that's actually. Wait, what did he say? He said 90% don't have guns. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's really crazy. Cause I was sitting here, I was thinking, I was like, this dude has a sword. He just came at a bunch of people. Like, not only did he attack people with a sword, he ran somebody over. And this dude's over here trying to fight him with a baton. Like, what are you, like, oh my gosh, that's so bad. They need to, like, there's got to be something. There needs to be, like, some special access where they can get a weapon, because I'm sorry, you're not beating a dude with a sword, especially a crazy dude with a sword. Yeah, no, that's just really bad. And also, these geniuses right here, like, it's bad enough to do something like this, and there's clear intent, like he says in the video, to hit the person. Like, why would you know what I'm saying? And to post it, like, why would you flaunt? I don't know if that's actually a good terminology to use, but why would you post yourself bragging about running someone over? This is bad.
On the 17th of March, 2025, a 13-year-old was arrested and charged with first-degree conspiracy to commit the act, leaving the scene, and illegal handgun possession. An 11-year-old was also taken into custody. Later, in May 2025, a 15-year-old was arrested after voice recognition linked him to the vehicle mid-reporting. Now, a total of 4 suspects face charges. Minnesota mass shooter. On November 29, 2020, at exactly 2:19 a.m., police received a 911 call reporting fireworks or gunshots at the Shady Oaks apartment complex in Albert Lea, Minnesota. Officer Cody Needham was dispatched to patrol the area, but he had no idea he was walking straight into a trap. Moments after arriving, Officer Needham was ambushed and shot through the side window of his squad car. He quickly took cover and called for backup. What followed was an 8-hour standoff that left the entire neighborhood on edge. At first, officers couldn't tell where the shots were coming from. But as time
It was crazy. I was literally just gonna say that. Why? For one, why is a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and an 11-year-old driving around to begin with? Like, oh my god, like who let this happen? Like, I mean, I guess it depends what state you're in, but like, even then, I think the age to get your permit is like 16 or something. I don't think you should be even able to drive. I mean, it really depends on the state, because some people, they get their license and their permit really early, but. And why does he have a gun? For what? What ops do you have at 13? Who is trying to hurt you? This is just, I don't know.
passed, the danger escalated. The shooter was no longer just firing at the police. He began shooting across the complex at neighbors, at passing cars, and at anyone going about their business unaware of the looming danger. That's when it became clear. The shooter wasn't targeting officers. He was targeting the residents. And the officers had to act fast. They knew two things needed to be done. First, stall the shooter and prevent him from moving to a different position. Second, evacuate the building. But there was a major obstacle. They had no key fob to access the apartment complex. The officers split into two groups. One stayed back to maintain position and distract the shooter. The other circled to the rear of the building, attempting to evacuate residents from the back. At 2:35 a.m., the shooter fired at 60-year-old Daniel Thorpe, a resident who was exiting the building completely unaware of what was going on. He was shot and wounded. Just moments later, a woman came running out screaming. She had seen the shooter on the far side of the second floor. She handed her key fob to the officers and hid in her car for safety. Then, the shooter fired again, this time at a car driving past the complex. The driver, Preston Flink, was hit in the leg and rushed to safety by officers. By 3 a.m., the SWAT team was activated and arrived on the scene. With backup in place and a way into the building, officers successfully evacuated the ground floor residents. They also ensured no one remained in open view where the shooter could strike.
Yo, could you just imagine the perspective of that old dude right there? You're just sitting there trying to enjoy your drink, and then a bunch of dudes with guns just walk around the corner, like, bro. And I know it seems like we're just watching a video, but this is real life. Like, that's the trippiest part about this. This is like literally the world we're living in right now. So you could just be walking out there minding your business, and you could be in one of these situations and not even know. Like, that's, I don't know, that's terrifying. This is just, yeah, no, this is just really bad. Yeah, like, I don't know what is wrong with these people. I don't know, like, it's, everyone's just lost it.
For a while, the gunfire stopped. As dawn approached, the police finally gained full visibility. With drones in the air and a sniper ready, they spotted the shooter on the third floor. Officers tried to negotiate, but the shooter refused to engage. 7 hours had passed, and officers had run out of options. At 9 a.m., tear gas was deployed into the apartment. Forced to move, the shooter stepped close to the window. In that instance, a Minnesota State Patrol sniper fired, shattering the glass and injuring him. Defeated, the shooter surrendered and was taken into custody. He was identified as 21-year-old Devin Wyland. In a shocking twist, investigators discovered that he had been the one who made the 911 call, an elaborate setup to lure Officer Needham into an ambush. When questioned, Wyland explained that he wanted to die but didn't believe in taking his own life. So he came up with a plan: call in a fake report, provoke the police, and get them to shoot him. That's why he never aimed directly at officers. But the court didn't buy it. He was found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree attempted and 3 counts of second-degree with a deadly weapon. On February 28, 2023, Devin Wyland was sentenced to 50 years in prison.
Only 50? Yo. Only 50 is, yo, 50 years for this? Yeah, that's, nah. You gotta throw him the book, everything. Get him out of here. Gone. Cause what? 50 years? What? This makes no sense. Like, some people, I don't know. Some people do way less and get way more punishment, and then some people do way more and get way less. I don't get what the deal with that is. Is it like depending on the state you're in, or like I don't even know. So look at that old dude. No action. I didn't even think about that. If they imagine they thought it was him. Oh no, I don't think they would have thought it was him because he was just minding his business. But yeah, no, that could have been bad too. I didn't even think about that. All right, we're gonna jump into the next video. Yeah, no, that video was that was crazy. Like that was actually really insane. But all right, we're on to the next one.
On January 8th, 2005, a man named Martin discovered a mysterious package in his mailbox. Confused, he brought it inside and opened it up. Inside the package was a single item, a videotape with no label or note to explain its contents.
50 years is 2 life sentences. Oh, wait. I forgot. Isn't there? I don't even know. I don't know what's going on. But what? I thought it was 25 to I don't know. I forget what the range was, but I don't know. They just need to keep him in jail forever cuz yeah, no.
Curious to see what was on it, he put it in his camcorder.
Wait, but how does that make how is 25 a life sentence? That does not make any sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm just slow, but I don't know.
And pressed play, and the footage he found on it was shocking to say the least. It contained a nearly hour-long video of a man describing the violent things he was about to do, how he was going to lure his victims, and the makeshift devices he was going to use.
Oh, okay, 25 to life. Okay, I see what you mean. Okay. Because then you're eligible for like parole or whatever. I don't know why this guy would be eligible after what he did. Like this is just nah.
I'm not trained in torture methods, which is what I'm gonna have to make do. I got my drill here. The reason why it's got this padding on it is just to try to silence it a bit because I'm in an apartment. I got gags, socks, I got lots of duct tape. I got a soldering iron, sheets. It's rather crude implements. I think can work wonders, especially if it's used in the right way.
However, while the content is
I haven't even seen the whole thing of this. We're gonna let it play, but I could already tell he's up to no good. I don't know. I don't know what it is. This guy, he's one of them ones.
itself was extremely grim. What disturbed Martin more was the fact that he personally knew the person on screen. This wasn't the manifesto of a serial killer planning to take innocent lives. Instead, it was the final message of Martin's close friend, Ricky Rodriguez, a man who was tormented by a cult from the moment he was born. He eventually managed to escape the cult and was now planning to take revenge on the people who did unspeakable things to him for all those years. He recorded this hour-long video and mailed it to his few friends and family so they would find it and have all the answers about what he was about to do and why.
Okay, this actually took a plot twist. I'm not gonna lie. I thought this was gonna be like the last videos where these people were just doing crimes for no reason. But this dude has a backstory. He's got some lore to it. So I'm all well. Okay, I'm not all for it, but we're gonna hear him out.
Why?
I am making this video, well, for many reasons, I guess. I suppose the main reason is that I want there to be some record of the way I feel, my ideas, just who I was, really.
Ricky's story began 30 years earlier on January 25, 1975, when he was born as the first child of Karen Alva Zerby. Karen was a member of a cult called the Children of God, which used Christian language to lure in young, impressionable minds, often teenagers, and molded them to its sick and perverse ideals. 2 years after Ricky's birth, he was adopted by the cult's leader, David Burke, who presented himself as the Chosen One. David changed the cult's name to The Family and declared Ricky to be a religious herald, granting him a special position in the organization. However, while he was treated like royalty by the other members on the surface, behind closed doors, Ricky was the victim of vile acts no child should ever have to endure. David not only encouraged these acts, but went as far as to write a whole book about everything he and his followers did to Ricky called The Story of DeVito. This abuse continued for many years, but as Ricky got older, he became aware of David's lies and manipulation. Then, in 1999, he finally managed to escape the cult with his girlfriend Alexia Manuel by faking a visit to the cult's compound in Mexico and fleeing to the US instead. Reintegration into society after 24 years in an isolated cult was anything but simple, but Ricky somehow managed to pull through and secure a job as an electrician. He also married Alexia and later moved to Tucson, Arizona due to his work. Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried to move forward, the nightmare he escaped continued to haunt him. David had passed away in 1994, and the cult was now under the supervision of Karen Zerby, Ricky's mother. And while the cult had managed to escape legal repercussions by mainly operating overseas, Ricky knew that there were still countless children suffering the same fate as him. So, in January of 2005, he decided enough was enough and took matters into his own hands. Which brings us back to the video he recorded and then mailed to a handful of close friends and his wife. In it, Ricky mentioned his ultimate goal, which was to bring down the cult all on his own. Beyond that, a part of this was also about getting revenge for everything that was done to him.
There's this need that I have. This need, it's not a want, it's a need, and I wish it wasn't, but it is. It's a need for revenge. It's a need for justice. Because I can't go on like this.
In this video, he also laid out his plan for accomplishing this goal. He'd apparently gotten in contact with his previous nanny, Angela Smith, who was among the group that tormented him during his time in the cult. He was going to invite her over for dinner at his apartment in Tucson and make her tell everything she knew about the other members' whereabouts by any means necessary. And that's exactly what he did. On January 8th, after mailing copies of his recording, he invited Angela into his home and proceeded with the plan. It's unclear what information he managed to extract from her before taking her life. He then got into his car and drove to Blythe, California. There, he rented a motel and called his wife to tell her about what he had done and what he was going to do next. However, despite the meticulous planning, Ricky ultimately couldn't follow through with the rest of his plan. On the morning of January 9th, authorities found his car in a parking lot just a few miles from the hotel he was staying at. Ricky was found inside the car as well, where he had taken his own life. And while this was tragic news for his loved ones, it was hardly surprising for his wife. You see, Ricky believed that killing the cultists would bring him peace, something he reiterated in his last video.
I can imagine how I would feel, how liberating it would be.
But that's not what happened. During his call with his wife, he confessed that despite his anger and resentment, killing Angela was the hardest thing he had ever done. Taking revenge didn't bring the comfort he was looking for. He couldn't bring himself to take any more lives and decided to end it all that night, leaving his friends and family with this hour-long video to remember him by. As for the family cult, it remains active to this day under the leadership of his mother. On October 4th, 2000.
See, this one is just like sad all around because these people are ruining people's lives, tormenting young people so they grow up and, you know, have things that they'll never forget about. And this guy clearly went through a lot of bad stuff. He could not move past it, which led him to, you know, think this was the way. Obviously, you know, ending someone's life is never the way, even if they've brought you a lot of harm. But yeah, no, this is just really sick. I don't know why stuff like this continues to happen, and that should be looked into. Like, they need to do a little bit of investigating on this. I mean, I guess it's out of the country, so it's kind of out of their hands. But I don't know. This is just gross.
At approximately 6:15 a.m., the Barrie Police Department received a chilling call from a woman saying, "My children are dead," in a calm and quiet voice. The disconnect between her tone and the situation she was describing was extremely unsettling. When asked what happened, she replied, "I don't know, I don't remember." Police officers immediately rushed to the address she provided and knocked on the door of her apartment, bracing for what they might find. The door opened and they were greeted by 31-year-old Frances Elaine Campione. When the officers asked her about the children she mentioned on her call, she replied in the same disturbingly calm voice, stating, "Yes, they're dead. They're on my bed." As the officers entered the master bedroom, he saw the remains of two little girls, 3-year-old Serena and 19-month-old Sophia, lying on the bed. Both were dressed in clean clothes and were also wearing necklaces and earrings. However, their skin was starting to turn blue, suggesting they might have been deceased for quite some time. One of the officers also noticed a small bruise on Sophia's forehead, and that was it. There was nothing else in the room that could have explained their deaths. But as the investigators looked through Elaine's apartment, they found a camcorder with footage that explained everything.
Don't tell me, bro. Do not tell me she did what I think she did. Come on, bro. Like, oh my god, this is. I'm gonna let it play because, you know, we gotta hear what happened. But bro, do not. She better not have done what I think she did. Oh my gosh.
The recording started on a wholesome note, showing Elaine surprising Serena with a new bike on her 3rd birthday on August 8th.
Hi Serena, it's August 8th, 2006. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday Serena, happy birthday to you. Serena's 3 today, yay! Shall we go to the living room and see if you got any birthday presents from the birthday fairies?
Yes!
Okay, let's go.
I have to go.
What is it?
It's a bike.
The next video also showed Elaine and her 2 daughters just hanging around and having fun.
I love you.
This much.
Oh, I love you more than that.
So far, everything looked quite normal. However, the 3rd recording, dated October 2nd, was when things started to get weird. The tone of the recordings instantly changed as Elaine suddenly went on and on about their horrible living conditions and the torment her ex-husband Leo and his family had put her through, said all in front of her children.
You can't see through the camera, boo-hoo. Oh, yes, this is a deplorable, horrible, messy, filthy apartment that supposedly my 2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess. Yeah. I think Diego Campione is totally in the wrong, and I hope he burns in hell for all his sins. The same as Leonardo. All I wanted to do was take care of my 2 little girls and live happily ever after the 3 years of physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured tremendously by Leonardo Campione, and then the past year from Anna and Diego Campione, the mental and emotional abuse.
I thought this was gonna be like a little family vlog, but she just started trauma dumping on us. This is I don't know. This is pretty concerning, but you know, I guess we're gonna see what else is going on.
Which wouldn't stop, and I had CAS keep bringing these 2 people into my life over and over again when I kept telling them the amount of mental and emotional abuse it was causing my 3-year-old daughter Serena and I and Sophia. It was horrible and uncalled for, and I want justice to my family for what they have all done to us. I cried out for help. They should have.
Leo was apparently extremely abusive, both physically and mentally. He prevented her from contacting her parents, and at one point even kicked her in her stomach while she was pregnant. This resulted in Leo getting charged with domestic violence, and the 2 getting divorced. However, at the time of this recording, Leo was starting to turn things around and was engaged in a legal battle with Elaine over the custody of their daughters. This took an immense toll on Elaine's mental health. She was already quite unstable and had been to the psych ward twice in the past couple of years. But according to her mother, the custody battle caused her to lose it completely and develop severe paranoia. She became worried that Leo would one day show up and forcibly take her daughters away. Then, on October 2nd, after ending this recording at 8:39 p.m., Elaine did the unthinkable by taking the lives of her own daughters, then recording a haunting confession that investigators discovered on the same camera.
Recording this because Leo, there, are you happy? Everything's gone. You wouldn't give peace. You wouldn't tell the truth. I begged. You even had Stacy not believing me, telling her I had to sign papers when I didn't. I went to victim witness to get the truth. Trying, begging everyone the truth. How you beat me. 3 years behind closed doors, beat me when I was pregnant with Serena and Sophia. You didn't care about our babies. You didn't care about me. You cared about yourself. You wanted to win. You won. Are you happy? How does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? Because it doesn't make me feel great. I've lost everything my whole life.
At this point, the camera cut to a later point where Elaine attempted to take her own.
I tried to overdose.
Okay, both of these people are messed up. One, you shouldn't be hitting your girl. Like, that's pretty morally understandable. But this is just taking your children's life and then making a vlog. Like, the world has lost the plot, because this is just like, I don't even know.
Now is the time to make a great deal on an Ontario-made hydro-cooled hot tub. In-stock models, floor models, or custom orders, everything has a sale price. Pool Spa Sauna Showroom, making waves in Aurelia, Bracebridge, and soon to be in Huntsville. You can also check them out on the web at poolspasaunashowroom.com. Here to throw some light on conservative.
Elaine was arrested on the spot and was later charged with murder, with the found footage in her home serving as crucial evidence against her. She was ultimately sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
See, that's what I'm saying. I feel bad too, because like I understand what circumstances could do to a person, like being through a lot of abuse, trauma, like all that could really like warp your mind. But then again, it's like there's only so much you can do or say when they do something crazy. And especially like I feel like once you encounter someone like this and like have a relationship with someone like this, you understand like, yes, they went through a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, like it doesn't justify their actions. Like, yes, she was hurting, but she took her own children's life because of what she was feeling. You know what I mean? It's like, it's such a weird ground, but yeah, I don't know. Either way, both these people are messed up. Like this whole situation is just bad.
Years ago, the Bureau of Land Management published a public service announcement dubbed Stay Out and Stay Alive, educating viewers about the countless dangers of exploring abandoned mines, including the very real risk of cave-ins, volatile explosives, wild animals, and entire sections without oxygen. However, the most chilling part of the video was the story and the accompanying found footage of an accident that had occurred years earlier. On July 4th, 1998, a group of young men found an abandoned mine in Nevada and decided to explore it for fun. Though, surprisingly, the boys seemed acutely aware of the mistake they were making right from the start.
As you see Briz pointing out, stay alive. It's a good point, but we're not too smart, so we're gonna go anyway.
This is an unsafe mine. Danger.
Yet the allure of exploring a place untouched for decades was too tempting for them to ignore. However, the deeper they went into the mine, the more dangerous it became, with the boys walking over sketchy wooden bridges to continue their journey. They even found signs of the mine caving in, but chose to ignore those signs just to venture deeper.
If you look at all this, there's lots of rocks and stuff that have fallen from the ceiling, which indicates that probably not a good idea to be walking this way. And,
Bro, these dudes have the survival instincts of a Cheerio. Like, bro, what? They have listed many reasons why they should not be doing this, and they still went ahead and did it. Like, bro, oh my gosh, this is just like, bro, what? Do you know what's worse than this? Have you ever seen what's it called? I don't know what the term is. It's like when they explore caves, but they go through those little crevices. Like, it's literally the tiniest. I forget what it's called. That is like, that's probably worse. Like, that's worse than this. Yeah, I don't know. That's.
Well, they've already fallen, so they're not going to fall again. Well, there's more to fall still.
An important thing to keep in mind is that these weren't professionals.
He said they already fell, so they're not going to fall again. Bro, oh my gosh, that's actually funny.
With prior experience of safely exploring abandoned mines. This was just a group of boys looking to do something cool and film the adventure. They could have easily plunged to their deaths down a 1,000-foot mine shaft or gotten lost in the miles-long maze of tunnels, which started looking more and more likely as time went on.
Yeah, we gotta remember where we're... Okay, we got out here.
Who painted these X's and stuff?
Grant.
What do they mean?
Dead ends and stuff.
Okay, they're all got an X on.
We can go this way.
That one's got an X. So it's also got that. What does the diamond mean?
Where's that go?
Goes down.
A long way.
Ooh, that's not a little.
Well, it'd be kind of hard if you slipped and fell. You could catch yourself before you actually fell down that.
Not if panic set in and you scream like a little girl.
Toxic gases and radioactive elements could have also caused serious health issues down the line, if not immediately. Fortunately, they somehow managed to avoid all of these dangers and make their way fairly deep into the mine. But then they came...
Oh, what a nice warning. It doesn't say... It says... It doesn't just say it can kill you. It crossed off the can and said it will. Oh, nah. And, yeah, nah, that's
across something that could have ended all of their lives in one fell swoop.
Got them pipes. Oh, wow. We have to climb that?
Yeah, don't everybody get up. I got it. You don't need to lunch on the floor.
This is going to America's Funniest when somebody falls. That's a good idea. Alrighty. Oh, that table. Don't touch that. The ropes.
While crossing a sketchy section of the mine, one of the boys noticed a rope dangling down from one of the wooden beams and immediately became curious about whatever was down there.
It's down to the main shaft. Wow, so we're climbing down this rope?
Yeah. How far down?
How are we getting out of it?
Climbing up it.
I see.
They had little rope climbing experience between them. However, they didn't let that stop them from accomplishing their desires. The guy named Adam decided to be the first one to descend, resulting in this.
How far down does it go?
All the way down to that ladder. See where it's going down?
We're
like a good 30 feet.
We're like gonna hook this camera.
I'll go first. I am. About 300 feet. You don't like to break up. You don't like to... Put it like he's doing it into your mouth. That. It's all like this. Is it off now?
No, it's not. How am I gonna get this thing down there? Yeah, but how am I gonna get back up? I don't have a...
Hey, good. Give you my belt. Straight on. Oh. Adam! Oh! Adam! Hello? Adam!
Yes.
Adam! Oh, God.
Oh, God. Somebody help.
Adam!
The rope Adam chose to trust was completely worn and gave way shortly after putting his weight on it. This caused him to plunge 65 feet down a dark mine shaft and lose consciousness. Luckily, none of the damage he took on his way down was immediately lethal. He was still breathing. His friends were able to find an exit and contact the authorities, who eventually rescued Adam after an hours-long rescue mission. Ultimately, them escaping the mine without any casualties was nothing short of a miracle. The mine
See, that's a surprise to me. Like, I thought they were gone. Like, I thought they all had done something stupid. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad they survived because, you know, that's good. But I thought this was going to be like a major tragedy. See, this is why you can't be curious, because they say curiosity kills the cat, and this was almost the cat. So, yeah, nah.
shaft could have easily been over 100 feet deep, or Adam could have just as easily hit his head on the surrounding wall. Both of these scenarios would have resulted in his death. What's even worse is that the whole group could have gotten stranded in the shaft if the rope broke when the last person was going down. With no way to contact the outside world, the group would have likely died of starvation. Fortunately, they were able to walk away from this terrifying experience with just a few broken bones along with cuts and scratches. On the 25th of February 2022, the Perea Fuel Company hired maintenance workers to reopen one of the underwater pipes connecting their oil unloading dock and refinery. The operation team included 5 men: Christopher, Kazim, Yusuf, Rishi, and Faisal. They were going to use a pressurized habitat to inspect the pipe and make any necessary repairs. However, shortly after entering this habitat, all 5 men disappeared from the worksite, leaving those on the surface to wonder what could have happened. It wasn't until rescuers found footage from a GoPro mounted to one of the divers' suits that the full truth came to light. The footage showed the men struggling to open the valve keeping the pipe shut, prompting Kazim to go get a wrench. He returned to the habitat and handed the wrench over to his co-workers. But then, a few seconds later, this happened. moment the valve was opened, its low pressure created a powerful vacuum. Water rushed into the habitat while the pressurized air violently forced everyone into the pipe. All 5 of the men were forced into the 30-inch wide pipe faster than they could blink. After tumbling through the metal pipe at violent speeds for a minute and a half, they came to a stop at a section containing a small air pocket, just enough to keep them alive, allowing them a brief moment to find their bearings and assess the gravity of their situation. All of them were barely breathing, and one of them had also injured his leg. And while the air pocket was keeping them alive for the moment, it wasn't going to last very long. So, with no other option, the 2 men at the front, Christopher and Faisal, started moving forward in hopes of reaching the pipe's end and getting help for the other 3. But after making their way through several flooded sections, Faisal lost hope and refused to go any further. This left Christopher to continue alone and ultimately reach the end of the pipe, where he was eventually pulled out by rescuers. Unfortunately, the same did not happen for his 4 co-workers. Days passed and the rescue efforts were slim to none, eventually leaving the other 4 to die in that cramped metal tube. The company's CEO later defended this decision, stating that a rescue mission would have only endangered more lives. The incident sparked widespread outrage and even forced the regional government to launch an inquiry into how such a disaster was allowed to happen in the first place. But, as is the case with countless similar incidents, nothing much came of it, despite the numerous hearings.
Yeah, I feel bad for that. I feel bad for that guy that survived, because think about it, all his friends didn't make it, and especially like that one dude that he was with. If he just went with him, he would have made it too. So I could just imagine the guilt that he probably feels from this. Oh my gosh, that's just not good.
The other 4 divers were left for dead. That said, the Trinidad government did announce a compensation of $1 million for each of their families, as well as Christopher, in April 2025. On April 28, 2000, 22-year-old Russian diving instructor Yuri Lipsky decided to reach the depths of the Blue Hole in Dahab, Egypt. This was a risky plan from the get-go, since the Blue Hole is widely regarded as the deadliest diving site in the world, with as many as 200 fatalities in recent years. To make matters worse, before his dive, Yuri asked a local technical diver to accompany him on his journey. All of them rejected him, since the preparations for this risky of a dive took as long as...
Well, I mean, understandable that they rejected him. 200 people lost their life, and it's also called the Blue Hole. Like, what do you, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's good to just let things be unknown. You know what I'm saying? Like, it showed time and time again that this is not a place to go, and you still want to go. So it's like, at that point, you're accepting all risks.
A week. Yet Yuri wanted to go in just 2 days, no matter what. Even after every instructor refused to support his plan, instead of backing out, Yuri made the worst mistake of his life and chose to go through with it alone. He started the dive around noon and quickly disappeared into the depths of the ocean. However, many hours passed and there was no sign of Yuri anywhere. His concerned mother enlisted the help of a local technical diver named Tariq Omar, who immediately set out to rescue her son. Unfortunately, by the time he found Yuri, it was already too late. Tariq discovered Yuri's lifeless body floating near the floor of the Blue Hole. The next day, he returned with the necessary equipment to bring Yuri's body back to the surface and got to work. But as he was about to take Yuri back, he noticed that Yuri's diving camera was lying nearby. So he grabbed that as well and began ascending. This camera had captured the final moments of Yuri in haunting detail. The dive started like any other, with Yuri swimming alongside many other divers. However, it wasn't long before everyone else faded from view as he started to descend deeper into the Blue Hole. And that's when all the worst possible things started happening in rapid succession. It started with him failing to keep his gas levels under check, resulting in him getting nitrogen poisoning and becoming extremely disoriented. By the time he realized his situation, he was already sinking like a rock. He started panicking and began inflating his buoyancy control device quickly to avoid sinking any further. Tragically, this backfired. The buoyancy control device bursted due to the rapidly increasing pressure, leaving Yuri no way of safely returning to the surface. The increasing depth exacerbates the symptoms of nitrogen poisoning as well, and it wasn't long before his camera captured the horrific sounds of him struggling to breathe, ending with him sinking to the 377 feet or 115 meters deep sea floor and passing away. The only silver lining in this whole situation is that there's a good chance the found footage helped at least one diver avoid a similar fate by learning from the mistakes that cost Yuri his life.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, you don't want nobody to lose their life, but I don't know why this person went through with this. I don't know. I don't know what the point. I don't know. I don't know what there was to gain from this. I mean, I guess some like street credit or something, but like that's not worth losing, or even a chance at losing your life. You know what I mean? But thank you guys for watching. Appreciate everyone that tuned into the live stream. You know, I appreciate the support, and you know, it means a lot that you guys sit here and watch these videos with me. And yeah, we're gonna be on to the next one. So hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Stay safe, stay blessed, and yeah.